have to make sure we're streaming and all that kind of fun stuff, so just bear with us. We're good? Awesome. All right, I'm going to call the Sherwood City Council meeting for May 2nd, 2023 to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you. Sylvia, roll call.
Mayor Rosner.
Here.
Council President Mays.
Here.
Councilor Rouse.
Here.
Councilor Young.
Here.
Councilor Scott.
Here.
Councilor Giles.
Here.
And Councilor Stankey is absent.
Awesome. Thank you, Sylvia. And the first item on our agenda is approval of the agenda itself. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the
Second.
agenda.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Council. Next item is our consent agenda. Excuse me. We have, looks like 5 items tonight. We have item A, approval of the April 18th, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. Item B, Resolution 2023-027, authorizing the city manager to surplus equipment for auction. Item C, Resolution 2023-028, appoint Lavette Colombo to the Sherwood Senior Advisory Board. Item D is Resolution 2023-029, adopting a plan of action for revenue recognition, cutoff of expenditures, and recording of revenue in the appropriate funds. And item E, Resolution 2023-030, creating new city funds, public art funds, economic development and promotion fund, and investment fund.
I move consent.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Council. All right, citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments tonight, Sylvia? Do we have any online comments? All right, anyone out there feel the need to give some comments tonight? Let us know how we're doing, how great things are, or have any suggestions for us? No?
2 days of summer were awesome, Mayor.
Awesome.
Can we get the summer back?
We'll try. It will be here eventually. Eventually, I'm pretty confident of that. All right. So in presentations tonight, we have 2 really fun items. Excuse me. And I'm going to start with item A. Sherwood is really blessed this year. As some of you might remember, I think it's been about a month and a half ago, we celebrated the fact that the kid governor was chosen out of Sherwood, which was awesome. And now we have the youth governor, who was also a Sherwood citizen, which is amazing. So Kylie Johnson, you want to come up and go ahead and have a seat? And there's a little button there. If you press it, that light will turn green. You might have to hold it. There you go. Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for being here. And I'm just really impressed that how many kids were you competing with? Or I shouldn't say kids. You're in high school, young adults.
There's about 60 or 70 kids in the program, and then there were 3 candidates, including myself, which are usually the kids that are like most active and involved in the program. And then after the primary election, I ran against my running mate Lauren throughout the conference in person, and we campaigned. We had like pins that we designed and handed out to delegates, and it was very competitive but also very friendly. We had lunch together one of the days. So I competed against 2 people, but there were 2 like very kind, very intelligent people.
Awesome. Well, I remember last year, the year before with the program down there, that you introduced a bill on ranked choice voting. And I know this because you worked with one of my kids, Eli,
Yes.
on that bill. And I remember being really impressed with that because, that's a pretty, heavy topic, to be taking on. And you actually got to sit down with Courtney Neron and a couple of directors from the Secretary of State's office to tell them all about your plan, which was amazing, and you did an amazing job in that presentation. So it wasn't a surprise to me that this next year all of a sudden you're our youth governor. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for connecting me with Representative Neron. It was a great experience to be
Oh,
able
no
to
problem.
talk with her.
It was a lot of fun. But anyway, so tell us a little bit more about what the Youth in Government program does.
Yeah. So it's a state program run by the YMCA. The Oregon Youth in Government program is, but there's also other youth in governments across the nation in every single state. And Oregon's is one of the smaller ones. We have 60 or 70 delegates, whereas in Kentucky there are thousands that have a conference every year. And we have a legislative conference every year in February. And leading up to that conference, you'll meet with your delegation, which are made up of the kids that go to your school or live in your area. And you'll learn about the legislative process, how to write a bill. You'll get to become a close-knit group with your delegation, and you write a bill with one or two other delegates. And my freshman year, I wrote my bill with Eli Rosener, which is the mayor's son, and it was super fun, and we wrote it on ranked choice voting. And then at the legislative conference, you present your bill and debate on it in a model legislator. And you learn the legislative process by experiencing it, which I think is a lot more effective, and you just learn a lot more in depth by doing it, whereas like reading a textbook. And there's other opportunities in the program like KONA, Conference on National Affairs, that I am going to for the second time this year, which takes place in North Carolina with 500 talented and really smart individuals from all over the country that half of the things they say I don't understand, but it's a great experience. So yeah.
Awesome. Are there any other questions from council?
So what are some of your responsibilities now as governor for this next year?
Yeah, so as youth governor, I help run the program. There's a program committee made up of some adults, and then I am kind of the student appointee on it, and I give the youth perspective. And I also am invited to speak at some events. Like I recently presented to the Oregon Higher Education Coordinating Commission and gave a presentation on how to best prepare high school students for higher education. And in June, I'll be going to the Youth Governors Conference in Washington, D.C., where I'll learn how to lead a community and how to govern a community with the other, I think there's going to be about 42 or 43 other youth governors. And at our next conference, I'll give the opening speech and then sign or veto bills.
So you're a sophomore or junior?
I'm a sophomore.
Wow, totally impressive, and I wish I had done something like this in high school, but what a great experience. Even all that traveling and getting just to know people from all over the country, and I hope Oregon's program grows like Kentucky's eventually, because that's pretty exciting, but just congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What are your plans for the future?
Like beyond high school?
Like, yeah, do you have any more plans to go into politics as you graduate from high school?
Yeah, I would love to do a couple internships before I graduate high school. And then after high school, I think I would love to do like political science. I also really enjoy history, so really anything in the humanities. And I really love Lewis and Clark, but I'd love to go out of state. So something kind of like Lewis and Clark, but maybe on the East Coast where there's some more history.
Thank you.
How does mom and dad feel about that?
The other two went to the East Coast.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Other questions? Good. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we have a certificate for you. And so you get the photo op, so you got to do that.
That's okay.
Am I blocking you?
Yeah. Go closer. That's okay.
thanks again for coming tonight, and congratulations, Mom and Dad. You guys deserve some credit in this too, I think. Yeah. All right, so our next presentation is recognition of the 2023 Oregon Mayors Association If I Were a Mayor contest. Just a little background, this is the first year we're running this program. It's a program that the Oregon Mayors Association puts on, which, as you can guess, is an association of Oregon mayors. And each mayor in each city runs this locally, and we select the mayor selects local winners. Those winners are submitted to the OMA for selection of a statewide winner. So for tonight, we're celebrating Addison Selby. Did I get that right? Awesome. Why don't you come on up, Addison. And so, congratulations, and thank you so much for putting your essay in. We actually, and I should add, we do have there's 3 categories: grade school, middle school, and high school. We also have a winner in the grade school level. They weren't able to be here tonight, so we're going to celebrate you in the middle school. Did I say middle school? Middle school level tonight. So Addison, thank you so much. I really enjoyed your essay. It was very detailed, and I could tell you put an amazing amount of thought on it. And I just found out as we were talking before the meeting that you actually did some polling to kind of inform your essay. Tell us a little bit about how you approached that, and what are kind of the key things you would do if you were the mayor?
For the poll, I was kind of asking my teacher kind of how I could get information more. So I put a poll out for my house for 6th grade and waited a few days for people to go in and look at the results, and then kind of said what percentage it was that would say yes or no for the topic. And I think if I were mayor, I'd do polls to see what percentage of an area would want something and what percentage wouldn't, and kind of go off of that.
That's amazing. That's an important part of being a mayor and being on city council, because we don't do this job for ourselves. We do it for our community. So understanding what your community wants is really, really important. Tell us a little bit about some of the key things you found out, and what would you do if you were mayor?
I would try and make stuff that would benefit the community for activities or food options. I was saying a community center, because many cities around us have them, and we have a YMCA, which it works, but it's not very useful all the time. So having a big one like Chehalem or McMinnville and other places, they have a big area where a whole community can come and kind of see people. And
Awesome. Well, again, really, I was amazed at your essay, so thank you again. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll get a copy to you. But do we have any other questions for Addison?
I have one. Would you prefer a red bridge or a white bridge over to the high school?
probably a white bridge and blend in with things.
All right. I like that. I'm going to take your advice and start polling people about that question.
Congratulations. Great job to be willing to put your ideas out there, submit your essay to the mayor, and as a result, you won. You're going to represent Sherwood in the bigger contest. I want to wish you the best of luck at the statewide level.
Thank you.
And you're going to be a wonderful representative for Sherwood, so thank you so much.
Well, you said you presented this to your 6th grade house. What does that mean?
So for 7th and 8th grade, they don't have houses, but in 6th grade, since there's 3 different teachers for each class, there's 3 different houses. So I'm in house A, which is a
Okay.
certain set of teachers.
Okay, so they sort of break you up. Okay.
Yeah. How did you decide on submitting to the essay?
I learned the
Contest.
idea from my social studies teacher, and I thought that I should just try it and see what happens.
Why not?
Do you enjoy writing as a whole, or?
Sometimes, depends what it is.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. Congratulations.
Awesome. Well, again, congratulations, and we have a few other little fun things we want to do since you're the local winner for If I Were a Mayor. I have this little placard here that has your name on it, and I think it says mayor. So what I was hoping we could do is we'll take this down and have you come sit up here with the rest of council, and we're going to get a nice picture.
Oh, thank goodness. We're upgrading after 4 months.
Yeah. It's gonna make the meetings go faster.
They're all very friendly, I promise. So you can go ahead and sit down there.
Where are you going to sit?
All right.
It's popular here, Tim. You can't leave,
Yeah, go sit on the end.
Gotta hold the gavel up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Heck, you can bang it if you want. I won't officially adjourn it.
Ready?
It'll be fun.
1, 2, 3.
You gotta bang it at least once.
Oh, yeah, you got to hit it. Yep. Awesome.
There you go.
Meeting over.
Awesome. Now, if you want to go around, I think. Oh, sorry. Let the mayor. Oh, no, she.
Oh, I guess you're going to sit.
So we have a certificate for you, and it's for as good achievements that did that. And then Langers was kind enough to donate
That's Dutch.
some merch and a $100 gift card for Langers. So thank you.
That's Dutch Brothers.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dutch Bros. Dutch Bros is $60. There's a bunch of stickers in there because you guys like the stickers, right? And then Langers has stickers and a $100 gift certificate. Wow.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Keep writing.
Serious merch if you win local. That's awesome. You can treat mom and dad.
To the rope course at Langers.
Yes.
This is a temporary one, so I should mention, so we'll put it together and send it to you, but we have a framed picture. You're going to get a picture of you sitting up here and a real placard. This is just a paper one, pretend, but mine is. This one is. But we're going to get you all that, and we'll send that to you, so you have a little memento of
very
this
good.
experience. Again, thank you very much. Let's see. We'll leave them both
Very
up for
cool.
tonight. There we go. All right, that was fun. So we have a public hearing, which is a very fun process that we go through occasionally. If you want to stick around and hear about our public hearing, you're more than welcome to, but don't feel like you have to.
If you want to, go get.
You are free to go. Don't
Or
feel
go.
guilt.
Or stay. No guilt either way.
Okay.
But Logan will hang out with us.
All right. So we're going to move ahead to a public hearing. We have a public hearing on Resolution 2023-031, adopting a supplemental budget for fiscal year 2022-23 and making appropriations. So I'll turn it over to David.
Mayor and council, if I can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yep.
The Sherwood City Council will hold public hearings this evening to receive testimony on 2 items on the agenda. Resolution 2023-031, adopting the supplemental budget for fiscal year 2022-23 and making appropriations, and ordinance 2023-004, adopting the Sherwood Procurement Code, Chapter 1.10. The public hearings this evening will be conducted as follows. Staff will present a staff report. Questions, if any, by the City Council for staff. We will then receive written testimony. We will then open the public hearing for testimony, and the time will be limited to 4 minutes per person. Any interested person may present testimony. We will then close the public hearing. No other comments will be heard from the public. Final comments by staff, questions of staff, if any, by the council, followed by council discussion. For ordinance 2023-004, this is the first hearing before the City Council on this item. Generally, the council will hold 2 hearings prior to making a decision. The second hearing on this item is currently scheduled for May the 16th. However, in accordance with the city charter, the council reserves the right to make a decision at the close of this hearing by a unanimous vote of all sitting council members. If you wish to speak, please fill out a request to speak form and submit it to the city recorder prior to the time the public hearing is open for testimony. The mayor will recognize people who wish to speak, and any comments must be addressed through the mayor. When you come forward, please state your name and place of residence for the record, as this hearing will be recorded.
Oh, thank you, Sylvia. All right. So now we can turn it over to David.
Well, good evening, Mayor, City Council. I've learned that if you want to clear the room, just bring the finance director up here. So just a quick brief history for, this was for newer council members, but Dan is not here tonight, but maybe members at home watching on YouTube land. You know, supplemental budgets or transfers, they're allowed under Oregon statute. Typically, the city does 1 or 2 a year. You're going to see where I'm going to bring another supplemental budget at that last meeting in June. This year, the amount is over the threshold requiring a public hearing. So the first item I'd like to talk to you about is the general fund. The general fund, the additional fund balance came in $847,000 higher than we originally projected last spring during the budget process. Some additional unexpected expenses. We did have the city attorney recruitment. We did settle the police, or I should say the SPOA union contract, so that's an additional ongoing expense. This year it's just about $260,000, and that ongoing amount, it does not include any COLAs or any step increases. And then we had a carryover for the City Hall re-roofing project, which it's just a matter of timing when the contractors could get out here, and I think there had to be some things done on the roof before they finished the roof up there. So that's the proposed use of that carryover fund balance of $340,000, and the remaining funds I'd like to just put in reserve for future years. Additionally, the general fund received some unexpected additional funds that weren't anticipated, or they're coming in higher than expected. The senior center, they signed an amendment to the IGA with Washington County. That's going to bring an additional $33,000. The Art Center is doing very well with charges for services, and that is facility rental. That's projected to come in $60,000 higher, and then the building department charges for services with all the permits, mainly due to some of the bigger projects going on out in the Tonquin employment area. It's projected to come into $483,000 higher. And then there's the transfer in from the grant fund. I'll talk about the grant fund here in a minute, but that's really just moving that American Rescue Plan Act dollars, also known as the ARPA dollars, just getting that moved over and spent as outlined, as City Council outlined in that work session in February. Some additional expenses, the Art Center, you know, offsetting that additional revenue with an additional expense of $60,000. You know, whenever you have the increase in facility rental, you have an increase in instructor pay, but then also they have that digital reader board come in after fiscal year end, so this kind of just offsets that additional revenue. And the building department, even though we've seen an increase of just about $500,000 for charges for services, you know, it has been a challenge recruiting for that commercial plans examiner position. So we're still having to outsource that service. So that's an additional cost, unexpected. And then also a part of the union contracts, there were those one-time payments. And I'm putting that in, I would like to park that into contingency, and they're in the next supplemental budget in June, move that to all the appropriate funds and departments that all this money was paid out of. So the total proposed use is $508,000. The remaining funds reserved for future years, a little over $4.5 million. That's a little misleading because some of that money is going to be reserved for the city investment fund and will be moved around during the budget process. I'd like to pause here if anybody has any questions about the general fund.
Kudos to Art Center. Great that it's busier than expected. That's super awesome.
And the permitting department.
Yeah, budget planning.
Everybody, I mean, yeah.
Engineering, building, super busy. That's great.
And I did actually look at the dollar figures before I came down. They've already exceeded the amount I already put on the for the additional revenue. So yeah, kudos to the building department.
Questions from you guys? I have one quick question on the $60,000 with the offsetting $60,000 expenses. How much of the expenses were related to the sign? I'm just trying to get an idea for how our expenses track to revenue, because I don't think it's one-to-one.
The additional, the reader board was just about $31,000.
Okay, so even better. Yeah, because that was a one-time cost versus, yeah, perfect. Awesome, no, that is amazing. Any other questions?
I would always refer to that as the arts sign versus some other language. I hate that other description. Just commentary. Yeah.
Reader board. Awesome.
Okay, so the next fund I'm going to talk to you about is the debt service fund. I don't know if you can recall during last budget season, this is really a fund we're trying to move out the remaining balance. The GO bonds have been paid off, and we're transferring that money over to the general fund. Well, the budget document was prepared correctly, and this is my mistake. When I brought that resolution in front of City Council last June, there's a Scribner error where that money that was supposed to be in the transfer out category actually got included in debt service. So this is just fixing that Scribner error so we don't have a budget over expenditure that the auditors will note. In the grant fund, you'll notice the additional beginning fund balance is a lot lower than projected. And that's just due to the timing of the ARPA dollars and the revenue recognition under GAAP. If we haven't allocated the dollars to a specific program or government service, it really should be recorded as deferred revenue. So that's kind of correcting that error. We corrected it in the financial statements for June 30th. Everything is balanced, and the auditors have signed off on the audit report, but that's just correcting that error. And then we had the additional ARPA trench that came in this fiscal year. We did earn more interest on those ARPA dollars than we anticipated. And all these ARPA dollars and even the CEP grant money, the Community Enhancement Program, I put those originally during the budget process. I had included those in contingency just in case City Council made the decision on how they would want to allocate the ARPA dollars. But then also we held that second round of the CEP grant program, and you'll see those reflected, transferring those dollars out to the general fund for the ARPA dollars, $4.4 million. And we awarded almost $60,000 in additional grants during that round 2 meeting we held. The next fund is the General Construction Fund. The additional beginning fund balance came in a little over $120,000 more than anticipated. That was just due to the timing of that Cedar Creek Trail project where you kind of underspent last year. Well, now the expenses have come in this year. So I am proposing that we allocate that additional rollover fund balance to kind of the capital appropriation line item since we had those additional Cedar Creek Trail expenses this fiscal year. And in the water fund, this is one of the larger funds of the city. Additional beginning fund balance came in $145,000 less than anticipated. So we're just reducing that reserve for future years by $145,000. But I am proposing that we utilize the contingency of $290,000 and move that up to operations, and that's just due to the reservoir repairs that are needed up at Snyder Park. And I just gave a summary. Really, the summary, there's only certain funds that I need to speak about and talk about under this public hearing. But you'll notice that every year during the supplemental budget process, we do recognize how our fund balances landed. We try to project the best we can in the spring, but you can tell sometimes we come out better, sometimes we come out a little bit lower than anticipated. A lot of those have to do with the capital project funds, but this is just recognizing where we actually landed so we can record all those balances correctly. And with that, I'm open to any questions that City Council may have.
Thank you, David. Any questions? None? Wow. Awesome. Well, again, great work over at the Arts Center. That is awesome. And I've said this before, I'll say it again now. Some of us may have noticed that interest income on our investments, and the finance team has done a great job of taking advantage of these higher interest rates. And in some cases, we're actually making more money on our investments than we're paying on interest on the loans, which is a great place to be. So thank you very much on that. And just as a general note for the public that listened to all that, what David just talked about is moving dollars between different funds. This in no way is an indication that we overspent or over budgeted or have missing dollars, or it's just making sure we have everything in the right category. And it's a step that the state makes us go through.
Yeah, it's just putting the money in the correct buckets because, yeah, the state, we have to make sure we're in compliance with appropriation amounts.
All the rules.
Awesome. Well, this is a resolution, so we can vote on this tonight. Oh, that's right. Okay, no, anybody, we'll open the public hearing at this point. Do we have anyone that wants to comment on this resolution? We'll check in online here. All right, since there is none, we will close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-031, adopting a supplemental budget for fiscal year 2022-23 and making appropriations.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. Great job. All right, we'll move on to ordinance 2023-004. And we've already made our statement, so we'll turn it over to Ryan.
Good evening. We've discussed this quite a bit in work session, but we are here tonight to talk about updating our procurement code. The legislature allows cities to adopt their own procurement code. Sherwood has done that. The issue that we brought before you in work session is that we haven't touched it since 2005. And the consensus of council was that it was time for an update. So through the course of those work sessions, we've talked about different language, we've hashed it out, and I've brought you back an ordinance that's not only reflective of what LOC has recommended in their model ordinance, but is narrowly tailored to what would be appropriate for the city. So what's been adjusted since the last time, or from LOC's ordinance, is really amounts have changed, and we talked about that in the work session last time. So just to recap for the public's benefit, there are, if you're talking about goods and services, there are really three buckets of contracts. Small procurements are anything under $10,000. Those can be sole source contracts. The city staff can pick somebody and negotiate and try and get that without any competition. 10,000 to 150,000 is what's called the intermediate procurement process, and that requires 3 informal quotes. And with 3 informal quotes, you choose there's a different scale that you would follow, but really what you want to do is you want to pick the one that's the best value to the city, and that's not always cost. That's who's going to do the better job for the city. So there's myriad considerations you would make. And then there's your formal procurement. So anything over $150,000, that would come before you all for approval, and we would go out for the formal RFP process on that. So that's a really long way, or a short way to put into words what a 29-page code says. So with that, I am happy to take any questions that you might have.
So,
No questions on the proposal.
no questions? All right, so go ahead and open up the public hearing at this point. So do we have anyone that would like to make a comment on our proposed ordinance?
First reading.
No, and no one online. So this is the first reading, so we can leave the public hearing open.
We'll close it.
Can we close it or
You can
reopen it?
you open it.
We can do that. Okay, we'll go ahead and close it
Whatever
out.
you want to do, Mayor. I apologize.
That's all right. We can do it either way. Yeah. We'll go ahead and close it out. We'll reopen it next hearing if we have commentary or comments from the public on that. And I think unless anyone considers this an emergency, which I don't think we do,
We only have 6 anyways.
that's right. We only have 6. So we'll go ahead and close this out for now, and we'll take it up in our next meeting. When is May 16th for anyone out in the public that may want to come here and give comment? So awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Sylvia, for keeping me on track. I appreciate that. All right. So our next item on the agenda is the city manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just a couple of quick updates. Just
this Saturday, the Saturday market at Cannery Square returns, starting 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. So excited about that. The Shred and Food Drive is also this Saturday, May 6th, from 9 a.m. to noon at the police department. A limit of 2 boxes in shredding and a minimum 2 boxes of shredding and a minimum of 2 non-perishable food items. Also this Saturday, busy May 6th. May 6th is Coffee with the Force, which is going to be located at Dutch Brothers starting at 10 a.m. And finally, I want to wish a very happy birthday to Chief Ty Hanlon, who is celebrating his birthday by being here with us tonight. So happy birthday to the Chief. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
You're 60 what? I'm kidding.
Any questions for Keith or, for that matter, the chief?
The mayor's gonna, lead us off on a song.
Do you want to sing happy birthday? I'll do happy birthday. I'll turn my mic off so no one has to hear me, but I'll do it.
I mean, Chief, you couldn't have found somebody to sit in for you tonight. I mean, not that we all haven't spent our birthdays up here at one point or another, but
Good job.
I get you.
I do have a question, probably for the chief, but could you describe what Coffee with the Force is? I was there last year, but I don't know if that totally captured the majesty of that event. So.
Yeah, I pulled it up. Actually, we're going to have Mandalorians from the Concordia clan of the Mando Mercs. I don't know what any of this is. And Star Wars characters from the 501st Legion and Rebel Legion of Star Wars Oregon will also be in attendance. So a lot of great characters will be showing up on Saturday.
Bring your lightsabers.
Yes. And these are good, movie quality costumes. So bring your kids, great photos. Who knows, maybe even a Christmas card out of it.
Nice. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I was around, I might make it.
Hey, Chief, did we have a fun event Friday night?
We did. And the weather might be good for this Saturday.
Oh, yes.
I think last year it was a little hit and miss with the...
It was raining, yeah.
I don't want to steal your thunder. Do you want to talk about Friday night?
Oh, yeah. Probably raining, or I will talk about it. Okay.
Any other questions for our city manager or chief of police?
How'd the city handle the first tastes of summer? It was hot and the fountain wasn't working. The fountain, right? It wasn't time to turn the fountain on yet.
Was it time to turn the fountain on?
When's the fountain going to turn on?
I did see them working on getting the fountain last week. We had the crews out there getting it ready and prepped to go. So
Another week or two?
Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day
Every
weekend.
year.
Yep. Put a sign and say go to the Cannery Square Park instead. So Memorial Day weekend. So just so everyone knows that the thousands that are watching live.
Well, I was walking down, to your point, I was walking downtown with my daughter and my wife this weekend, and someone was really disappointed the fountain wasn't there, and I think they had saw the work as well, and they were saying, darn it, I was really hoping that meant they were going to turn it on early. But so we'll just let everybody know it's Memorial Weekend.
And everything else went okay for the taste of summer? Little tease of summer?
For my family, we really enjoyed it, yes. And I kind of shared with a group here, but my daughter was up at Snyder Park and found a 5-leaf clover. So I am now currently trying to see if I can press it and save it. And we took my dogs to the dog park last night, and she found 2 more 4-leaf clovers. So I need to take her and have her pick out some lottery tickets or something.
Yeah.
Better eyesight than some of us.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So, Chief, I saw a post about a mysterious object sighted in the sky from the PD. There were some people calling in. Is that correct?
Aliens?
The large orbit. Yeah.
Yeah. They're referring to
Bright
the sun.
sun. Yeah, it was a great post.
Our social media guy at work.
Great.
Yeah, you guys do them. People were calling in because there was a large
They weren't
orange
really. It was
glowing
a
thing.
joke.
Humor.
Okay. Remember, I don't
Oh, that's awesome. Anything else for Keith or the chief? Awesome. Well, we'll move on to council announcements. Doug will go first.
I'll go first. Not too much tonight. We did have Parks Board last night, so that was great. It's been, I think we took April off, so there was a light agenda, so we had an agenda at this time. There were some tree removals that were voted on, and most of the time was spent talking about our favorite topic, pickleball. So there was some great public comment on it that then spurred a really good discussion amongst the Parks Board. As people may or may not be aware, we don't have dedicated pickleball courts in Sherwood. Probably something that needs to be on the 5-year CIP. So the
15.
the two
Just have the Lake Oswego ones they closed down.
Sure. So the 2 courts at Snyder Park there's dedicated times for pickleball, but there's a lot of pickleball players, and it seems like maybe there's some tension that I think the Parks
Who
Board.
dedicates the time? Is it set by the city?
Yeah, the city has designated times. Yeah, but I think it's
Equipment is
may or may not be.
Enough?
Yeah. So their Parks Board is going to keep working on it. So there's some ideas that are out there.
Full disclosure on that. The hours are not necessarily adhered to.
Well, you can play pickleball outside of the hours. You
Right.
just can't play tennis inside of the hours.
Right.
So.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm one of the neighbors that hears them play.
The plink.
Pickleball.
So that was good. It was really interesting, and I thought there was some good conversation on that. And then I think Krista presented kind of this year's CIP in relation to parks, and so the board has some discussion around that. They're anxious to get their hands on the $5 million from the Y sale so they can spend it yesterday. Joking, of course. They didn't say that. I said that.
Work session maybe
but-
later.
No, I think that it was a good conversation. Also, I have firmed up my plans as of today to be attending the Fire Academy Citizens Day. So I think I might be the last one of all of us who haven't done
You're
it.
Dan. Now Keith's never gone.
So they must really. So one of you must be putting them up to this, because they have emailed and called me like 7 times.
They really want.
Trying to twist my arm, and she finally got me on the phone today, and she wouldn't take no for an answer. So I will be there on the 19th of May at doing the whole.
It is well worth it.
No,
You'll have a
I just wanted to get myself in better shape before I went.
I went. Come on.
But when's that going to happen? I keep saying that every year, and it hasn't worked out yet.
So I made it to the top of the 200-foot tower. So you tell me how you
You
do it.
can't do that to me.
And
I'm a
he's
competitive
not.
person.
He's lying.
Now I
You
will
know-
die trying to get there.
There is no
There's
tower
no
that you
200
can.
I hope. Well, luckily, there'll be a lot of firefighters around if I do collapse.
Yeah.
So.
There's no tower. I was just kidding.
A lot of ADU or whatever. automatic
Driving the
defib-
truck.
Yeah.
The best
Yeah.
part.
A lot of ADUs.
I want to like spray the hose.
Oh, you
and
get
like-
that.
Yeah.
You get the jaws of life and cut the car
She did
open.
sell that pretty hard
You get to
in her
quickly
sales
have a race
pitch.
to put the hoses on the fire hydrant.
And you get to stay up
It's
for
very
24
fun.
hours straight.
Yeah.
Great.
You get to spray the hose at an actual fire too.
Yeah.
Not
It's
just
hot.
You
not
might
just for
get
fun.
to sleep. It just depends how busy a night it is.
I'm looking forward to
I
it.
didn't
So
have much
that'll be the 19th. So the next time I'm here, well, no,
My-
2
my-
times from now, I'll be able to tell everyone about my experience.
My favorite part was going on all the calls
Yeah.
with Station 33. That was
And
really
sitting
amazing.
around the station talking to them and learning more about what they do and playing card game to figure out who did dishes.
Yeah.
I really like driving around with a cop.
I still need to do that.
We'd like doing that too. And a Citizens Academy someday.
awesome. Renee.
I don't have a lot. To reference to the question that Kim posed to Chief, there was a big gala this last Friday. It's our annual gala to raise funds to support the men and women in blue. And the community came out tenfold and really raised a lot of money that will help provide some safety equipment and technology to enhance their ability to keep us all safe. We had a great committee. Kim was on the committee this year. She took care of all the auction items, which was a huge blessing. They were in her living room and not my house, so that was awesome. No, it was a great committee, great cause, and we're thrilled to have been able to serve in that capacity. This senior advisory board will actually meet next week, and and we did have the HAC committee, which is the Housing Advisory Committee. I believe it was last Thursday. There was a grand opening of a new not affordable housing, it's supportive housing unit in Aloha. So 92 more rooms for people who need housing. And that is my report.
Thank you very much.
So the last library meeting was actually during our joint session with us and the school board. So but I do have two things to report from it. One additional event that is happening this Saturday, it's Free Comic Book Day. So please stop by the library and pick up a free comic book while supplies last. And then the next week is a 3D printing, intro to 3D printing. And we saw a 3D printed replica of the bridge tonight. And so if you're interested in doing that kind of stuff and design work, the library is having a class for adults, but anybody can attend it and learn more about it. And that is all for me.
Thank you.
Well, like Taylor mentioned, we had a joint session recently with the school district, which is really nice, building that relationship with the school board there and the administration and us, forming partnerships in some things. We had police advisory board last week. It was kind of a light agenda this time around. We will have, I believe, one opening coming up on our police advisory board. If somebody's interested, you can apply. I think we probably have positions open on several boards, and all that information is on the website. And just to back what Renee was saying, that event we had Friday night raising money for the Sherwood Police Foundation, which in turn helps support our officers, was just really fun to see. What part I saw running around, but the community members that came out to support our officers was just truly amazing. And I think coming out of COVID and the second year of that event is just flourishing even more and more each year. So we just thank everybody for that. And also tomorrow night, though, there's a voters forum here at City Hall sponsored by the Chamber, and I think with some help from the high school students, high school. Do you want to say, Renee?
Yeah, so tomorrow evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. will be a voters forum for the candidates running for the school board. Yes, we will have 3 students that will be here assisting as well. All 7 candidates, or at least a representative of the 7 candidates, will be here to share information. There'll be a table regarding the levy, and there'll be a table at the back where the candidates can put some of their flyers and information about their campaigns. So it's a great opportunity to learn more about each of them as they're vying for a chance to serve the school district as a school board member.
That's all I had.
Awesome. Council President May.
Thank you, Mayor Rosen. Remind everyone to get informed and be sure to vote. There is an election in May. School issues and fire district issues are on the ballot. Always important to exercise your right to vote. The Police Foundation auction dinner was fantastic. Great to see our men and women in blue that were able to be there. Great to hear from the chief. Great video presentation. It was great to see. And shout out to some officers who indulged a toddler to be able to sit in a police cruiser for the first time and turn lights on, but luckily was not able, or the sirens were disabled or something, but only was able to activate the lights. He was quite happy, and I knew that because I wandered out there. Deacon, the toddler, I refer to as my junior associate because he comes with his mom to work. His mom works for me, so it was very cute. And Craig and your team, the summer started sort of after skipping spring, since we had snow a month ago, and the parks and streets and trails look in great shape, and people were able to enjoy it and find 5 leaf clovers, in our parks. So great job to you and your team for all of that. And Kristen, certainly great to see in the little update, monetary, actually in black and white, the success of the Arts Center. I know the Senior Center has also been doing a great job, and library as well. So great job. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. So I just have a few things. A couple of meetings I attended. The Metro Mayors Association had their monthly meeting late last week, and that's all the mayors in the entire metro region go to that meeting. And the main subject of that meeting this time was talking about Salem and the legislation that's coming out of Salem right now. We spent a lot of time talking about tolling, which you may have heard in the news that the governor put the brakes on tolling in our state for 2 years to give ODOT more time to actually, in a productive way, work with impacted communities and find the right solutions, which I think was a smart move because there is an initiative petition out there that would basically make it very difficult to ever do tolling. And they need to spend more time talking to the public, talking to communities, and bringing them along if that's going to be a funding source for transportation projects in our state. So that was really good news. And we are interested in that because if they put tolling on I-5, we will see diversion traffic coming up 99 through Sherwood. So it is critical to us that that's handled in the right way. Also, another bill that we're tracking very closely is HB 3414, which is a bill that would, I don't know how to describe this in just a few seconds here, but it basically would allow developers to get any variance they want with a very small set of exceptions when they're doing projects in our community, building houses and development and stuff like that. Clearly, it doesn't work for us, and it doesn't work for most cities, and there's a lot of opposition to it. So a little time and energy has been going into making sure that our voice is being heard in Salem on that subject. I think we all agree we need more housing. We need more middle housing and affordable housing, but this is not the way to do it. So that's been chewing up some of my time. I also had a meeting with the Metro Policy Advisory Council, MPAC as we call it, which I sit on, and that body advises Metro on the urban growth planning process, which we're just kicking off for this cycle with Metro. And so they have a lot of oversight over how that process, right now what they're starting with is the studies, the housing needs analysis, the economic needs analysis. There's a lot that they do a lot of study work to come back with recommendations in the whole entire metro region in terms of potential urban growth boundary expansion. And then later, at the end of this year, cities can sign up if they want to expand their boundaries. We can ask, Metro has to approve it. Later this year, we'll probably, as a council, be having some work sessions and some meetings to discuss whether we're going to be one of those cities. We haven't done that yet because we still have a lot of planning going on within the city right now. But I think it's great that we have representation on that committee and maybe help can guide a very productive, collaborative process with Metro on that really focuses on results this time around. And then I was just going to mention, I was just talking before the meeting, you may have noticed there's a lot of activity over in Memorial Park, and they're getting close to completing the new upgraded Veterans Memorial over at Memorial Park. More to come on that, but we'll probably be having a dedication ceremony partnering with the Elks Club in June. Did I get that right? I'm getting a nod from Kristen.
There is.
I'm sorry, the American Legion. I apologize.
There is hope to maybe move that up. Nope, never mind. There was hope to maybe make it happen around Memorial Day, but it's not going to work. So,
yeah.
It was a good idea. Just not enough time.
And awesome. And then Keith, did you want to talk about Robin Hood Festival?
Just construction is moving quite briskly right now with the Robin Hood Festival, Robin Hood Plaza, and so that's super exciting to see. Things being installed and getting ready. It's gonna be done before you know it.
Gotcha. I thought you meant the Robin Hood Festival.
No, just the plaza. The plaza's looking great.
Yes,
Great job,
plaza,
Kristen.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the big pavilions go up and see what that's finally going to look like. It's going to be amazing. Super excited. That's all I have. And does anybody else have anything else good for the order?
Ready to go home. No, I'm good.
All right, so we will call this meeting adjourned, and we will jump right into our URA meeting. Do you have that? Awesome, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll just do that in here, and I'll call the URA board meeting to order for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2022. Roll call. Sylvia. Sorry.
Chair Rosner?
Here.
Vice Chair Mays?
Here.
Member Browse?
Here.
Member Young?
Here.
Member Scott?
Here.
Member Giles?
Here.
And Member Stankey is absent.
Great, thank you, Sylvia. We have a very exciting agenda tonight. It's basically just our consent agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. Approval of the April 18th, 2023 URA Board Meeting Minutes. And item B, URA Resolution 2023-004, authorizing the agency manager to enter into 2 agreements with Kinder Morgan to relocate the LS14 pipeline that lies within the future alignment of Ice Age Drive.
Consent.
Second.
Motion and consent. Any discussion? Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. And the ayes have it.
So do I.
Motion passes. And unless there's anything else someone wants to talk about, I'm going to adjourn this meeting.
There gotta be something.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.